This is James Studley once again with Full Potential Learning Academy. Today's lesson will be going over trimming sentences and how trimming sentences in questions and answers will help you better understand the full meaning and help you get a better score on your SAT and ACT test. Today we'll be going over why we trim sentences and how they help us solve for the subject-verb disagreement error. We'll be going over the 3 steps towards trimming sentences, a few examples of sentences trimmed with subject-verb disagreement errors, and finally some practice to help you master what you learned today. There are 3 steps towards sentence trimming. Step 1. Removing any unneeded preposition or prepositional phrases. Prepositions being words or phrases that give general position or direction to a word. Step 2 is removing any interrupters. Remember last lesson where we went over interrupters as they were additional information in the sentence that was overall unneeded. Finally, your last step is to remove any unneeded modifiers from a sentence. After doing that, you should have a pretty trimmed and pretty clear sentence. With the first step, we need to get rid of any common prepositions in the sentence in order to see the fully trimmed sentence. Most common prepositions are listed here, and you can take a moment now to pause the video and study them for a moment. By removing prepositions, you can remove the tiny details that are useful but overall unneeded, and you can start your process towards trimming sentences to spot if it has any subject-verb disagreements or any other errors you might find. The next step, removing interrupters, helps us in a big way. By removing interrupters, we get the meaning of the sentence more clearly without losing anything. For example, Megan and her friend John went to the movies. It's a strong sentence on its own, but it's too long. If we simply say, Megan went to the movies, we have the basic meaning of the sentence and we don't lose anything even after removing the interrupter. The next sentence, Stuart, in addition to Zach, were late to the school meeting, sounds fine, but is actually wrong because we know from the last lesson that an interrupter towards a subject makes the subject singular. So, by trimming the sentence, we'll have Stuart was late to the meeting without losing anything because after removing the interrupter, we know we have to change were to was to fix the sentence. So by trimming down sentences, we can more easily spot subject-verb disagreements after trimming the sentence. The final step, removing unneeded modifiers, helps us trim down sentences in a big way. By trimming down on descriptor words, we can have the basic meaning of the sentence without losing anything else. For example, the horrible movie was so bad it made me absolutely furious. It's a sound sentence, but it's still too long, and that could distract us. We trim it down to the movie was bad, it made me furious. We have the most basic meaning of the sentence without losing anything. By following this final step, as well as the first 2 steps, you'll have trimmed down the sentences so well that you can see the most clear meaning of the sentence and understand it completely without missing a beat. Now that we've gone through the lecture, it is time now to practice what we've learned today. 3 sentences here all have subject-verb disagreement errors, which you can find by trimming down the sentence. Once you do, write it down on your own. Feel free to take the time now to pause this video and figure out the answers. It's fine if you don't necessarily get the right answer immediately, but just by practicing you'll do better on further tests. Take a moment now to try it out. Here are the answers to the previous sentences and how to best trim them. The first one, the system is archaic and unfair. While the sentence talks about politicians and could be mistaken for that being the subject, the sentence subject is actually the system, which is archaic and unfair, and we change are to is. The second sentence, the abundance contributes to intimidating client, while it talks about the companies and their failures, what really leads to an intimidating client is the abundance of those companies and failures. So we change it and trim it down to the abundance contributes to an intimidating climate and change the subject-verb disagreement as necessary. Finally, the last one, others are concerned, talks about the others on the committee, but we can trim that out as well as the interrupter and simply say others are concerned and change the is to are as well. Don't worry if you didn't trim it down as much as you could. However, this practice will help you in future tests and help you get the best answers. Now that we understand how to trim sentences properly, we can find and solve subject-verb disagreement much more easily after trimming sentences. Our next lesson will focus on parallelism and how writing in the same writing style is better than changing the writing style midway through. Thank you for coming to this lecture on trimming sentences. Teach you next time. This lesson's material was provided by the McGraw-Hill SAP Prep Guide, Chapter 15, Essential Grammar Skills, Lesson 2, Trimming Sentences. Thank you once again.